What's up, everybody? This is not necessarily a movie review per se of the live action How to Train Your Dragon 2025. This is more like a character review or character impressions, since we already all love the originals and love the story, and we know how the story goes, of course. So, I'm just going to be going through mainly my impressions of the characters on how this new cast compares to the original. Let's start with the good. Obviously, returning member Gerard Butler. He was a match made in heaven the first go around. He's a match made in heaven the second go around. So not really much to add there. He was pitch perfect in his performance once again. So thank you, Gerard. You did your thing. You, as a Viking, will always be a match made in heaven. Mason Thames as Hiccup. He's another highlight of the film. Him and Toothless are still the same exact magnetic chemistry that we got from the first film. These two, they really stand out once again, and I'm really proud of the performances of Mason Thames and Gerard Butler in this movie in particular. All right, I'm so sorry the good parts I kind of already over. Now I'm going to start getting into the mids, or the mid section of this impression review. So when I say mid, let me preface by saying this. They had the potential to be just as good as their original counterparts in the animated version, but either they were underacting, not fully going for the gravitas of the original cast, or with just some more training, if they were to do any future installments of any of the original trilogy in remake form and live action, they can get better if they dive deeper into their characters instead of playing it safe or undercutting themselves in this movie. So Nick Frost as Gobber, he put out a pretty decent performance. Could he be a little more quirky as Gobber in future installments? Yes, I definitely think he can. There's not much else in the midsection. I would say, yes, I think it's Gabriel Howell, a Snotlout, I believe it is. Yeah. Snotlout in this movie again. He's almost there, but he's not like... what's the right word for it? He's got the personality for it. I'm not sure if they picked a character to have the right voice for it, though. And again, it's sort of breaking Viking rules in the original version anyway, because they took more like the surfer dude, computer nerd type route with some of the other characters in the main ensemble, and then mixed them into Viking culture. So it was pretty fun the first go around. Nice quirky mixture. I'm not sure if it works as well in the live action version, but anyway, this is my impression. So I'm surprised how quickly I'm going through some of these. I thought I would take longer, but anyway, maybe I'm taking too long for some of you. Okay, now this one's a tough one for me. I'll start out by saying Julian Dennison, maybe I'm just not familiar with a lot of your work, but he left such a bad taste in my mouth from Deadpool 2, and I kind of felt like I don't even know how he got cast into this role. But as Fishlegs, again, he didn't go all the way with it. And then even at the times where he tried to go a little bit like upgraded, he started going to this very like almost falsetto female pitchy tone, and that it was so weird. It was very jarring. And then the nerdy stuff, he didn't play nowhere near as well as I believe it was Jonah Hill in the original. Yeah, he has much better timing for that. Jonah Hill is almost like a Jesse Eisenberg to me done right. And if you could have found a younger version of that in the chubby state, I think it would have worked better. So I don't think it's totally Julian's fault, but I do think he was a little miscast. But because this is the main ensemble of the original trilogy, if they're forced to keep the original ensemble, which is pretty much looks that way, Julian has the potential to improve his performance. So I will give him another chance, but it was played way too safe in this version. That almost to the point where he had pretty much no impact to the overall story. He could have been eliminated from the film. You wouldn't even notice. Now, there's a big difference between could have been eliminated and I wish they were eliminated. And now I'm going to get into the film's biggest crime before I get into the most controversial thing leading up to it. The film's biggest crime, in my humble opinion, is what they did to Rough Nut and Tough Nut, the twins. Oh my freaking gosh. These two characters are unrecognizable from the original version. I found them completely unacceptable. I'm sorry. They don't look like them. They don't talk like them. They don't act like them. I'm sorry. Who thought Tough Nut and Rough Nut needed to be fixed? They did not need any fixing whatsoever. Miscast, misquoted. I'm sorry. I don't want to go on a complete angry rant here, but how do you make two of my favorite of the original ensemble, how do you make me wish they weren't even in the film? I mean, we're talking about an ensemble that is key to the entire trilogy in the original version, and you never want to see any of those characters absent for any reason whatsoever. But now, I can't believe I'm saying this. You made me wish they weren't even in the movie. That is a crime in itself. Don't ever do that again. Unfortunately now, because it seems like unless they get, as we saw, like Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle in the character of Colonel Rhodes in the Iron Man franchise, unless they have some like instant recasting for the next two movies, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to suffer through them for another two movies if they decide to do the entire trilogy. Tough Nut and Rough Nut, biggest crime in the movie whatsoever, and deserves a way bigger outrage than what I'm going to get into next, which is obviously the one everyone knows about, Nico Parker as Astrid, a daughter of Tandy Newton, I believe. Oh, man. I think Nico is a perfect example of what I like to call, you don't have to look the part to the T to embody the spirit of the character. However, do I think she was partially miscast? Yes. Do I think she has the potential to become the Astrid we all know and love? Also yes. And let me explain. I think the way she played Astrid was done well, but safe at the same time. I felt like Astrid, in the original version, was a lot more tough in her attitude prior to liking Hiccup. And I felt like Nico's version of Astrid wasn't tough enough. She was almost there, but could have been tougher. And then, when we have the flying scene with Toothless, where she has the change of heart towards Hiccup, Nico does her part to flip the script of Astrid and become a gentler version of Astrid towards Hiccup that we know from the original. But, again, she didn't become gentle enough. I felt like she played the role from too much of a dramatic standpoint, and I felt like someone from more of like a dramedy, like a drama comedy type of standpoint could have fit the role better. I'm going to give a shout out to my favorite TV show of all time, Cobra Kai. Shameless plug. But there's so many, again, they're not the best actors in the world, but there's so many traits the cast of Cobra Kai inhibits that can work in so many other roles because of relatability. And the one I'm going to pick, hear me out on this one, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, it doesn't matter. I'm here for all the agreements and disagreements. For some reason, Peyton, who played Tori in Cobra Kai, I kind of felt like she has what it takes to be a live-action version of Astrid. Now, will the world be just as outraged about recasting Nico as they was at the casting of Nico in the first place? Yes, because I don't care what all the haters have to say. Everyone is fully justified in having criticisms for a character that does not look like the original version. Okay? That's set in stone. However, I'm the type of person that even if you don't look like the original version, if you at least embody the character, I can still rock with it. And Nico definitely has potential to become the Astrid we all know and love. She put a good foot forward here, but I'm going to say, by the way, she's just as beautiful as her mother. At the same token, though, I also think, and this is going to come off as a slight, but just room for improvement, I do think she also has the same acting range as her mom, too. Tandy Newton, in my humble opinion, in a lot of her roles, she always gets close to fully embodying the character she's playing, but never fully there. And I feel like her daughter's kind of in the same boat here. So, you push that effort forward, don't undercut or pull it back. I think we got a really amazing Astrid in the making here. So anyway, that's my impressions of character by character review. Probably my only other one would be the grandma character that we know. I forgot her name. Could have been way older in this version. And also a gentler, kinder facial expressions. I felt like they went for a more middle to older, rough, tough face edge on this one. And it didn't really work as well as the original grandma that we saw, or grandmother-looking figure that we saw in the original trilogy. Anyhow, take care, you guys. Thanks for sticking around. It's been a 12-minute rant. Sorry about this. But I just had to get my thoughts out there because I'm really a diehard fanatic of this franchise. On a scale of 10, this might sound harsh, but I gotta be fair, I'm giving it a slightly above average good time. So 5.5 out of 10 for me. Definitely nowhere near as good as any of the original 3 animated movies. But if they push hard enough, maybe if they were to do 2 and 3 live action, it can get a lot better from here. Alright, thank you.